Guys, honestly speaking, at this point, I believe the government just need to come forward and admit that they have lost control over the situation in the United Kingdom and they are incapable of governing. They cannot govern. It's been crazy these past 48 hours. What have we seen? Firstly, we've seen 10 men critically injured in Huntington. They got stabbed yesterday on the train. Secondly, we've seen a man that sets fire to a police van. Thirdly, we've seen a woman beaten by a man and the police are just watching. I believe it was a police officer that literally just threw her to the ground, and police are literally just watching that whole situation without intervening. What can a woman really do that, you know, you need to behave in that reckless manner, and police are just watching? Fourthly, a rapist gets released on bail. So we've seen an absolute madness in the United Kingdom. We've seen absolute chaos, and we're going to be watching a video now of Ben McBean, who has served in the British Army, and he's going to be talking about the whole situation with knives. Everything is crazy. No one feels safe. I've been saying this time and time again. The government failed to acknowledge this. The last time I've seen Keir Starmer really give a strong, powerful message was after the mosque was burnt, and he went there parading around, just handing out 10 million. 10 million to the enemy that wanted to install Sharia law in the United Kingdom. But okay, that's what he wanted to, you know, spend our tax-paying pounds on, which is, you know, this Labour government is an absolute joke, as I've been saying for so long. So no one feels safe. Everyone has knives. And honestly speaking, like, and that's what Ben McBean's going to talk a little bit about in the video. He's going to be talking about how in the UK, like, you just don't know where the attack can come from. It can just come from anywhere. And let's be honest, we all use the train to go from point A to point B, whether it's for work, whether it's for going out, doing whatever we have to do. And I'm sure that these 10 people riding the train, it never occurred that they will be another statistic as it relates to knife crime. They were pretty much just going about their business until, you know, a man comes, and I believe there were two, and starts stabbing. From what I've heard so far, it hasn't been released, he was a black man and he was shouting Allahu Akbar. So yeah, but I can't, that's unconfirmed, I still need to confirm it, but that's just from what I've seen, from what people have put online. And that act absolutely needs to be condemned, you know, 110%. But it's just crazy, man. Honestly, where does this stop? I really don't know. And we're in scary times now. And honestly speaking, guys, I'm just one of many voices in the UK voicing my concerns. You know, I want to see a change for the better, but there needs to be a change coming from government. You know, this government just needs to be honest with everyone and just say that they just don't know what they're doing. And they just need to step down, because, you know, they're going to lead this country into chaos these next couple of years if things carry on the way they're going. So anyway, guys, we're going to be watching what Ben McBean has to say.
Yo, there's too many psychopaths around and able to roam the streets freely, wherever they're from, this country or another country. You know, they're allowed to just roam around free. Knives aren't weapons when you're just cutting your English breakfast up or your Sunday roast with. I've got 50 knives in a drawer right now. It's when you get the wrong people, pick those knives up and walk around the streets. And the problem that you've got is when you're a psychopath, for whatever reason, you as an innocent person don't have to do anything to wind them up and find yourself stabbed in the head. Normally, if you get into a fight, some kind of altercation, what it means is you've had some kind of row. So you're prepared for some kind of row, or road rage row, where that person might jump out the car for a fight, but you know what's coming. But if you're just a psychopath, you don't have to wind them up. They're already wound up. That person already came over here wound up. So now when they walk around wound up, you haven't got to wind them up. They're already in that zone. This is why when you're just sat on a train, chilling, did anyone wind those two lads up on the train? And that's why they stabbed everyone? No, they woke up wound up. They got on the train as psychopaths. They already had a plan to stab everyone. They probably had a plan to die or at least end up in jail. That means now you don't have to do anything to get hurt. That means rather than walk around and say, I've done nothing wrong, so I should be okay, you now walk around doing nothing wrong, but you got to be walking around like this. You got to take your kids to the park and, right, you over there with the kids and play, and I'll stand back here and keep guard and make sure, you know what I mean? You can't just walk your dog down the lane. You got to walk your dog down the lane like this. This is how we're living. Then I've got kids, got to do school run, walking around Tesco, walking around town, and you know what I mean? It's an absolute joke. How are we supposed to protect ourselves?
Absolutely agree with him there. You know, everyone is paranoid. When you see how people are getting stabbed, you know, people in their mind always think they can avoid a situation if that was them. They always think that it can never really happen to me. I'm cautious, you know, but you can never be too cautious. You can literally just be in a carriage and someone just comes and he starts unleashing the most violent attack that has ever happened to you right there and then. And in relation to what happened to Wayne Broadhurst, you know, just walking, how many people are walking dogs? And you're not thinking anything of, you're literally just walking your dog, just thinking, okay, when I get back, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Wayne was probably thinking about Christmas. He had plans. Only for a savage to come and cut his life short just from walking a dog. It's crazy. Honest, I can't even believe that this is the United Kingdom. Early 2000s, if anyone told me that this would be the United Kingdom in 20 years' time, I'd say no way, no chance. But to just see how incompetent, you know, the government has been since, and to see how crime is just, wow. It's not even that crime is just super high, it's not even getting punished now. People are getting released from jail accidentally. It's insane. You know, the government in the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, is pledging his allegiance to the Muslim community and not to the people of the United Kingdom. Man, I can't even believe all of this kind of stuff, man. Guys, honestly speaking, last thing before I close out the segment, we're just going to be having a look at 2 eyewitness accounts of the train stabbing that happened yesterday by those 2 thugs. And yeah, I'll close it out after that, but let's just get up to date with what happened there. So yeah.
Guys suddenly run past, going, run. There's a guy stabbing literally everyone, everything. At first, there was a few of us kind of looking at each other, like thinking, was it a joke, like it's Halloween, like they're pranking? But then you could kind of see in their faces they were being serious. And then I put my hand on this chair, like just trying to push myself forward. And then I look at my hand and it's covered in blood. And then I look at the chair and there's blood all over the chair. And then I look ahead and there's blood all on the chairs. And I'm thinking, okay, this is pretty serious. We pulled the emergency alarm and just trying to work out, can we barricade the doors? Can we lock the doors? But we couldn't really. And then by the time I got to the end of the carriage, I realised I was actually at the back of it. And there was about 6 of us. There was a girl, bless her, who was really, really in a bit of state because the guy had actually tried to stab her. And one of the older guys, who's an absolute hero, blocked it with his head, and he's got this like gash. He had this gash on his head. He's got I think a gash on his neck, and he's we're kind of giving him like our jackets to keep the pressure on the blood. We ran out the platform, ran out the station, and as soon as we were running out the station, we saw blue lights. So they were there very quick.
Initially, I heard some screaming and shouting coming from at least a carriage or 2 down, and then I made eye contact with another passenger diagonal to me. And it was clear that something was going on. We didn't quite know what. And then a minute or so later, a man comes running down with a very clear wound, bleeding quite badly on his arm. And I thought it was like some sort of Halloween prank at first. But then he shouting that someone's got a knife, he was stabbed. And then a few more people come running down the train. And then I grabbed my bag and my coat, and then I got up and moved forward down the train after them. And I saw someone who was very badly injured, lots of blood around them. They were either collapsed or like looking about, they were about to fall over.
It's just scary times we're living in. I don't see things getting better. I think I see things only getting worse. But, you know, fingers crossed, you know, this just doesn't carry on. You know, because people won't stand for this. And like I've said many times, I do not want to see an uproar in the United Kingdom. I don't want to see a civil war, civil unrest, all of those. I just want to take that, you know, out of, you know, my mind frame and just hope that the UK can be revived at some point in the near future. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.